Well, hello, everybody. Dennis Tooley here with the Warrior's Way podcast, and wanted to jump in and kind of give you a welcome. This is the first video version of the podcast that I'll be doing. It'll be posted on YouTube as well as uh, Facebook. I'll be sharing it anywhere I can just because I want to be able to encourage any of you who deal with multiple sclerosis on a regular basis. Um, and by all means, if there's anybody that's dealing with any chronic illness, if you find any encouragement from this process of being part of the Warrior's Way, then by all means share that and invite people to join us in that process. Um, we're in strange times right now with the COVID-19 basically shutting down the world almost. It seems like the entire universe got put in timeout, and they closed down the earth for maintenance. Everybody has to clean and get ready to deal with this thing. And in the process, it can be very daunting when, for the most part, when there's people like us who feel somewhat isolated some of the time because we're not able to do all that we used to do, and so we struggle with the day to day, and then we find ourselves being told, "Okay, go stay home and don't have any contact." And for the most part, I think some, not all, but some of us, uh, we struggle with that uh, connecting, you know. And today, I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about ways that we can deal with the anxiety that is just naturally going to be coming from being in this time. The uncertainty of, am I going to get the COVID-19? Am I going to end up in the hospital? Well, what's going to happen? You know, all those questions come, and it can be very daunting, and it can be very scary if we let ourselves focus on and let that consume us. And so, one of the things you have heard me say, if you listen to the podcast, and now with us being here where I can share uh, with the video aspect of the podcast as well, um, you'll hear me say this a lot, that we've got to focus intentionally, make ourselves focus on the positive, on the uplifting, because it is almost it's almost in our nature to focus on the negative. It's real easy for us to find the negative and just cling to that like a child with a teddy bear. It's kind of like, no, this is my pain, this is my concern, this is my worry, you go get your own, you know. And it doesn't do us any good. There's no there's no positive, there's nothing good that comes from that, clinging to worry and into the anxiety of that. So I want to talk just about a few things that I think might help in this time that we're dealing in for you to get past uh, the anxiety. I don't know, get past it, but at least deal with it. Um, One of the things I encourage you to do is write down your thoughts when you're having those days where you're just consumed and you find yourself, you're in this turmoil of fret. Oh, you know, write down your thoughts. What is it that's making you feel that way? What is it that you're thinking and focusing on? And just kind of literally force yourself to write it down so that you can get it out of your head. Just bringing it out of your head and putting it down so you can see it in front of you allows you to then evaluate, how real are those concerns? Are they real concerns, or are they just being manifested from all of the negativity that you're hearing, whether it's the news or people talking or people's posts on Facebook or whatever it is? you get all that negativity and you start to just spiral. So if you get it out of your head and you write it down, it allows you then to evaluate how real that is and how much of that you can control. Most of it, things that you're not going to be able to control. And if it's not in your control, why are you worrying about that? You need to worry about the things you can control. I can't control whether it rains tomorrow, so I'm not going to be worried about, is it going to rain tomorrow? And when I get up, if I look out the door or look out the window and I see it raining, guess what? I'm going to plan for rain. But I'm not going to stay up tonight worrying about what happens if it rains tomorrow. You know, so when you see yourself in this moment, you start to feel a little bit stressed, a little bit tense, a little bit anxious. Write down your thoughts. What is it that you're thinking, and why are you thinking that? Is this something you can control? And then a lot of times, just being mindful of where you are in the moment, paying attention to what it is that's making you feel a little bit anxious, a little bit worried, a little bit concerned. Um, when you see yourself in those moments, write down what it is that triggered you to have that. Um, Another thing that I would encourage you to do is practice focused, deep breathing. By that I mean just take some time to take in a deep breath in the count of 4 or 5. And as you take in a deep breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. As you're slowing your breathing, you're automatically going to slow your heart rate. And as you slow your heart rate, you're going to find yourself calming down. And you're going to, because you're focusing and you're making yourself focus on the counts of 4 or 5, and you're breathing in and you're exhaling out, your focus is on your breathing. It's off of whatever it was that was triggering you in that moment of anxiety, in that moment of stress. And so I'm encouraging you to, when you find yourself feeling anxious, feeling stressed, feeling concerned or worried, take a moment and say, you know what, I'm going to practice some intentionally practiced some focused deep breathing, and I'm going to calm myself down. And then in that calmness, that's a great time to sit down and write out your thoughts, what it was that was triggering when you got started, and all of that. The other thing that I would say is maintain a positive sense of humor. Welcome humor, because good humor goes a long way. And if you say, well, I just don't have a whole lot to laugh about, well, let me encourage you to find something to laugh about. Many of you may know I'm part of a clean comedy club. It's a family-friendly comedy club here in Greenwood, Indiana, Gutty's Comedy Club. I'm helping my buddy Steve. We opened that up, and as soon as this COVID situation is over, we'll get the doors back open and we'll be back doing shows. But we have started Gutty's TV. If you go on YouTube and look for Gutty's GUTTY' TV, Gutty's TV on YouTube, you'll find that we have a Pops and the Rican show that we do. It's myself and Steve. We sit down and we talk about comedy with comedians, and that's a lot of fun because you can learn a little bit about the backside of comedy, things you don't normally see, and hear people talk about the writing and all of that. But there's a lot of laughter that happens in those episodes of the Pops and the Rican show. But we also have, like right now, we've got quarantine comedy, some episodes that before we were told we couldn't even get together with small groups of people. We got some comics together, and we were practicing social distancing. We didn't have anybody else in the room except for 4 or 5 comics. But we got in and recorded some comedy so people could have something to laugh at in the middle of all of this craziness that's going on. Um, but I would recommend find a comic that you enjoy watching, and watch videos of those comedians and laugh. If you're looking for some people that um, I would recommend Dennis Gaxiola, who's on Dry Bar. If you haven't watched any of the Dry Bar videos, do a search of Dry Bar comedy, and you'll see a bunch of good, clean comedy. Those guys out there in Provo, Utah, at the Dry Bar Comedy Club, they purposefully and intentionally produce nothing but clean comedy, the same types of things we're producing at Gutty's Comedy Club. And so I recommend just pulling up, and they've got a free app of, if you want to do it on your phone or if you're at your computer, you can do it there. But embrace some laughter and enjoy laughing, because laughing is good for the soul. It's good for you to release endorphins into your system, and it just helps deal with the anxiety when you can find something to laugh at. The last thing I would say today, anyway, about dealing with anxiety is find a way to get the attention off of yourself, and when you can, volunteer. Find somebody else. Find a way to get active by helping others. Right now, because everybody's kind of quarantined to their homes, stay home orders and all of that, it may be a little bit difficult to volunteer. But I know, for instance, I'm going to be visiting with my friend Lisa Sears here on the Warriors Way podcast. We're going to be visiting tomorrow, actually, I believe, and we will be talking about some of the things she's been doing. She went out and got a 3D printer so that she could print things to help with the masks that help hold the masks in place for medical workers and frontline workers and that. And she knew that there was a piece of the masks that they were having a hard time getting supplies. So she took it on herself and actually bought a couple of 3D printers and started printing these things so that she could deliver them to people that needed them, that are serving in the front lines in the medical community. And so just doing that, it raised her level of purpose in what she was doing each day. It gave her something to do, kept her mind off of her own worries and concern. And we'll talk a little bit with Lisa about that. But there's so many different things that you can do just to get involved, get engaged in doing something for others. Ultimately, I just want to encourage you that in the middle of all of this, you're not in this battle alone. There are many of us. In fact, if you go on Facebook, you can search for the Warriors Way, the MS Warriors Way. It's a group that I started on Facebook. And if you're watching this, then you probably are already aware of the Warriors Way podcast on YouTube. And you can search for the Warriors Way podcast on all of the podcast platforms. And I'll be adding the audio from this video to those platforms. So you can find us in a lot of different places. But please, if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, jump on Facebook and drop me a message there at the Warriors Way group there on Facebook. Until next time, I'm Dennis Tooley, and I hope that you're having a great day. Stay strong, stay healthy, and keep fighting this battle that we have against this monster we call MS. And let's stay strong the Warriors Way.